Hello, I'm Mr. Luke. This is Mr. Luke Unplugged. I've just got done full week of teaching, long-term subbing in first grade, and I'm looking forward to Monday already. But this video is for the long-term substitute teachers. But if you're a teacher, a student teacher, a short-term sub, you might sub a day here, a day there. There's some things in here for you as well. So let's get into it and let's unplug. Walking into a long-term substitute position is a totally different animal. It's not like having your own classroom. You're walking into somebody else's class, you're walking into somebody else's rules, and to be honest with you, you're fresh meat for the grinder. And what I mean by that is students are going to push you. You're going to see changes in behavior. You're going to see changes in the work ethic, and they're going to push every single boundary that they possibly can. We've all got like these little imaginary buttons on ourselves, and it's like, oh, you're pushing my buttons. The kids are going to find those buttons to push. And why is that? Because students don't see you as their teacher yet. But think about when you were in school and you knew that your classroom teacher was off and you had a substitute teacher. Man, I don't know about you, but for me, it was fun time. I was a completely different student when a substitute teacher was in. I was having more fun with my friends. I wouldn't do the best work that I possibly could, and I'll be seeing what it was that I could get away with. But also comparing you to their regular classroom teacher. An example is I was teaching third grade, and one kid said, hey, we have snack at this time, and all of the other kids just seemed to like jump on the bandwagon that they all had snacks. So I started giving these kids, like letting them take snack out, and it just ended up being a huge mess because another teacher came in and said that now we don't have snack in this grade because this teacher doesn't allow them to eat in the classroom. I was like, all right, sorry, my bad. I didn't know. The classroom teacher is going to leave you some classroom notes as well about what students that you might have to pay a little bit more attention to, what students that you can rely on, some rules, some classroom procedures. But in my experience, I take that with a grain of salt. Some of the stuff you can take from, like maybe some habits of some of the kids in the class, but the rest of it, pitch it out the window, because you are not going to be able to replicate what that classroom teacher has done. And you have to be you. You just have to be you. You can't worry about sticking with the other teacher's rules, because you're going to have your rules, your own style, and some things that that teacher does might not fit your personality or the way that you want to teach, and especially it might inhibit the way that you want to connect with the kids. So here's the first of your unplugging advice. Unplugging advice number 1 is connection before control. Control equals resistance. Students are going to work for people that they feel connected to. An example of this is in my sales career. In my sales career, it didn't really matter if you had like the best presentation, you were working for the best company, you had the best idea, you had the best price. I learned quickly that people buy people, and it's about the human connection, about connecting with a person. The relationship is built over time, and with time, trust is then built in. And in order for that person to buy a product from me, they had to trust me. They had to know who I am, and I had to know who they were. I had to know how to talk to them, how to get through to them. Students are exactly the same. They have to have trust in you that you are going to be consistent with them, you're going to be there, and that you are invested in them. So how do you build connection with 20, 30 kids in a classroom? First, well, for me, it's basic. You got to know all the kids' names, right? Know all the kids' names. And don't just know their name, know how you pronounce it. You might see Anna on the name sheet, but it could be pronounced Anna. So make sure that you're getting the pronunciation of the names correctly. That's the first step of investing into the kids. Now, if you're like me, you have a memory like a goldfish, it's really hard to remember people's names, especially like 20 or 30 of them. But I've come up with a great strategy to remember kids' names, or anyone's name. Actually, you've got to attach something to them. And the only way that you can attach something to them is by talking to them. So if you have a student, his name's Mike, you find out he's from Ohio, maybe he's called Ohio Mike. Maybe a kid always likes taking their shoes off and you're constantly on at them to put their shoes back on. Maybe it's keep your shoe on Sally. I don't know. Whatever it might be, come up with some quirky ideas, some quirky names, some ways that you can remember students' names. Now, if that doesn't work for you, another way that you can kill two birds with one stone, I don't really like that saying. the way the way that you can solve two problems at once, you can build a connection, plus you can also learn the kids' names, is by greeting every single student at the door. I talk about this in most of my videos. I'd probably say near enough all of them, because I feel like it's one of the most important things that we as teachers should continue to do. Even if we feel like we've already built those relationships with our kids, like, we still need to do it. The reason why it's important to greet the kids at the door is as they're coming down the hallway, you can even mention a name and then do a quirky little handshake or a gesture. I have some like little, like moves that I'll do. My wife says I need to like loosen up my hips when I kind of like do some things. But do some quirky moves. Maybe there's a saying, maybe there's a secret handshake. That is a way that you can get to know a child's name, is by coming up with those things that are unique to that person. You can't just rely connecting on kids inside of the classroom. Let's break it down. Let's say you have 20 kids in a class. Each lesson is 40 minutes. That gives you 2 minutes per kid. After you take away the lecture or the lesson teaching, let's knock half of that time off. That leaves you 1 minute per kid. Then you've got interruptions. You've got some kids might take up some more time than others. You're helping some other students. You might be splitting off into small groups or different sections of the classroom. Now you're probably down to about 30 seconds per kid on getting to know them on a personal basis. To me, that's not enough time to build connections. You have to sacrifice your lunchtime by going to eat with them in the cafeteria, and you have to sacrifice your time at recess. Don't just stand in one place at recess conversating with the other teachers. I see it all the time. There's a place in the playground. Teachers will be there, standing in the same spot, talking. The only time that they get involved is when something happens, or a kid needs a bathroom, they need a drink of water. Go and play with them. Be on their turf. Go on their ground. Interact. Get involved. That is another way that you can build relationships and connections with kids. And then also, most importantly, getting to know who they are and their name. Another way that I build relationships with kids is I start sending positive messages home early, even if it's for something tiny. And you're not going to really know what those positive things are until you might have some negatives to compare them to. If a kid had a great day, send a message home. If you find on that sheet that there's a kid that was on there that you had to maybe pay a little bit more attention to because they're causing disruptions in class, and in your eyes you feel like that they don't cause that many disruptions, then send a positive message home. What that helps with, it helps not only with the parent-teacher connection, but it helps with that kid connection to your teacher, right? If you're only sending negative messages home, like that's the only time a parent hears from you, and then that is the first time that a parent talks to their kid about a message that came from you and it's negative, automatically the kid feels like you don't have his back, you're not in her corner. But if you send positive messages home, when a negative message gets sent home, they're more likely to be more accepting of it, because now they're aware that if they do something positive, you're recognizing that too. But it's mainly to keep building those connections, that you're invested in them, you want them to grow, and you want them to be successful. Before I get into unplugging advice number 2, I just want to thank you for watching the channel. If you like the information that's on this channel, please subscribe. Give this video a like, comment. Comments are the main thing that I really look forward to, is engaging in a community, answering some questions that you might have, seeing if we can solve some problems together. But hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's carry on this journey together. Unplugging advice number 2 is to realize that the class has been built on a different foundation than yours. It's been built on different expectations, right? They've already been ingrained into the kids. But as soon as it's gone, everything else is going to go, and you're going to have to rebuild. And I know you're going to have to rebuild, because I've had some classes that are a good class, and I've had to rebuild the expectations right from the ground up, because when that teacher left, it was like they didn't know how to line up, didn't know how to enter a classroom, how to leave a classroom, how to transition properly. There's pushing in the line. There's tattletaling going on. There's all of this stuff that you wouldn't expect to happen like mid-year, but it does. You cannot assume that they know what your expectations are going to be. You have to start at ground zero. You have to start at the beginning. You have to start with how to enter a classroom and how to leave a classroom. How do you want them to do that? You have hallway rules. What are your hallway rules? I don't really have kids line up in a straight line all the time and be completely silent. And the reason for that is when they get to middle school and high school, really there are no lines. Right now, it's more about hall etiquette. Like, do we want to be really loud in the hallway when other classes are talking? Do you want to be taking up the entire hallway when other people are coming through the hallway in the opposite direction? No. So it's just learning hall etiquette and how to be respectful in the hallway. But maybe the other teacher had them all in a line and they were all quiet, but now it's like it's all three for all. And you have to be able to model and show the kids the expectations that you have and how you will eventually see your own classroom being your own class, how they're going to walk through the hallway if that is a long-term goal of yours. One of my personal favorites that you're going to have to reteach is the attention getters. A lot of teachers, it's clap 3 times and the students repeat the clap, or you would say class, 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 and the kids would say yes, yes, yes back. You're going to have to change all that too. Here's why. One of the call to actions that the classroom teacher used in one of my classes was class, 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 and the kids would repeat yes, ma'am, back, and then they would turn and then they would look. So I assumed that if I said class, 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 they would say yes, sir, stop what they're doing, turn and look. I tried it because that's what they were used to. I said class, class, class. I heard yes, ma'am, and they just kept doing what it was that they were doing. I realized at that point that, all right, that's not working because A, I'm a dude. B, they're not even looking at me and not engaged. C, it's white noise. I don't know why I went A, B, C, kind of rambling on Shrek when you say, pick number, pick B, my lord, pick B, or whatever it might be. See, I have squirrel brain sometimes, and that's kind of what happened there. So I realized that I had to restart with the attention getters. I turned it into who I am as a teacher. I like to use 80s, 90s songs, nostalgia songs as my attention getters that I can say part of a line, the kids will finish off the line, and it's really fun. It gets the kids engaged, and it's something that they've not heard before. A lot of classes are used to the same clap dance, used to the same chants, and it becomes white noise. You have to do something that meets your personality and give a little bit of you to the classroom. It's got to be fun for you too. It's not just about being fun for the kids. Make it fun for yourself too. And now for your last piece of unplugging advice. Pick progress over perfection. Look, you're not going to have the perfect lessons to start. It's going to feel choppy. Your content's going to slow down. The lesson's not going to flow. Kids are going to be interrupting. You're going to feel like you're putting out more fires than what you are getting through the content. That's where you have to let go of the control and then start building the connection. For example, when I started in a long-term substitute position, I was trying to put out all these little fires individually. And when you're trying to do that with 20 or 30 kids in a class, it gets like exhausting. So that's where you can take the class as a group and solve the whole problem. Even if it's 1 or 2 students in the class who are causing the issues, you get the whole group together and you give your expectations with the whole group. Another thing I mean by progress over perfection is the little wins, right? Are you getting smoother transitions? Are kids being more engaged and raising their hands in the lesson? Are you getting less pushback from students? Are they more willing to do the work? Are you getting that interaction? Always remember you're not behind. You're building a foundation. You're building a structure that creates a space for real learning. It's gonna feel messy at the start and it can leave you questioning yourself. Like, there's been days I've just been feeling like, am I even a good teacher? Like, is this for me? Am I Are the kids better with someone else than what they are with me? And I've come to realize that no, those kids are at an advantage being with me. They have to be at an advantage with you over somebody else, because I keep showing up. I keep showing up, and my goal is to be better today than what I was yesterday. And I share that with my students. Can we be better today than what we were yesterday? And it's become a thing in all of the classes. They'll ask, were we better than we were yesterday, Mr. Luke? That's how I know that my culture is starting to get into the classroom. They're starting to buy into the vision of what a creative classroom, a learning classroom, a learning environment looks like. And that's built over time. You're gonna feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger off Kindergarten Cop a number of days. You're gonna feel like you've just been kicked in the teeth. It's not easy by any means. It's hard work. It's hard work being a substitute teacher. But your main focus should be on the kids. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. You are you. You are your teacher. You're nobody else. You got to take the bull by the horns, and you've got to do you. You know, they say there's not a golden nugget, right? Everyone's looking for that golden nugget that can solve all of the problems. I disagree. There is a golden nugget. The golden nugget is you. You are the golden nugget. We try so hard to be like another teacher or to have the perfect class. What is the perfect class? Is a perfect class kids all sitting down straight and looking at a board and it's all simulated? Or is a good class noisy? Is it with kids moving around and they're discovering, like, being able to express themselves? Like, what is a successful class? And it's hard to answer that question because every teacher has their own style, and you have to have your own style, even if you are, as people say, just a substitute teacher. Take that substitute out of there and put yourself as teacher. On my name tag, it has substitute teacher. I wish I could just like blank that off and just put teacher. Not because I wanted to help with that respect, but I want to walk into a building and feel like I am a teacher. Substitute teachers, you're going to have to work harder than the other classroom teachers. You're going to walk by their classrooms, be like, why can't I have my class like that? You might not want your class like that. You don't know what goes on inside of that classroom. But if you've made it this far and you've hung in there with me, I really appreciate it as this journey gets started. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning every day, and I just want to be able to pass that information on because there's a lot of negative out there in the teaching community right now. And what we need is positivity. You know, it's not that it's all unicorns and rainbows, but that there's positives out there. And if we can focus on those positives, just like if you heard at the beginning of the video, I am already looking forward to Monday. A lot of people look forward to Friday. Let's look forward to Monday, and let's look forward to giving those kids an education and having some fun. I'm Mr. Luke. This is Mr. Luke Unplugged, and you have just unplugged.
Help us grow this channel and join us and subscribe.